Welcome to Dividing Fractions. The key concept to dividing fractions. To divide a whole number by a fraction, write the whole number as a fraction. Remember, in order to change any whole number into a fraction, you must put a 1 underneath of it in the denominator place. Multiply the whole number by the reciprocal of the divisor. To divide fractions by a whole number, write the whole number as a fraction by putting a 1 underneath, and multiply the fraction by the reciprocal of the whole number. We're going to go over this in great detail. Let's look at example number 1. Divide whole numbers by fractions. Mr. Roberts had a board that is 3 feet long. He plans to cut the board into pieces that are each 3/4 foot long to build a set of shelves. How many shelves can he make? So, we have a 3-foot board that we can see right here. And we are going to take this 3-foot board and we are going to divide it into sections. One way to do this is to write 3 as a fraction with the denominator of 4. Well, how would you make 3 a fraction with a denominator of 4? In order to do this, you would have to multiply both the numerator by 3. Okay? So, if we want a 4 on the bottom, if we write 3 as a fraction with the denominator of 4, we have to multiply both the top and the bottom by the same number. When we do that, we come up with 12/4. Now, if each shelf needs to be 3/4 long, how many shelves can you get? Well, you can draw this out just like they did over here. And you can think, how many 3s does it take to get to 12? 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 6, 9, 12 if you're counting the top. Another way is you can use a number line. If you have 3 feet, divide it into 3/4 parts. Well, here's 3 feet. If you divide it into 3/4 or equal parts, you would have a total of 4 shelves. Let's try an example. We have a board that is 6 feet long. How many 2/3 foot long pieces can be cut from the board? Use the number line to show your work. So if we have 6 feet over 1, and we want to divide that into 2/3, we can convert the 6 feet into thirds. And in order to do this, to get a common denominator, what we would do is we would multiply both the top and the bottom by 3. If we did this, we would come up with 18/3. Now, what we need to do is we need to cut this board into equal parts. So we have 1 foot, 2 foot, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we are going to cut this into 2/3 foot long pieces. So if we were to divide 18 by 3, correct. So we want 2/3 pieces. So you're going to take 6 over 1 and you're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which means flip the fraction. So let's look at this again using the number line. each of these pieces is going to be less than 1 foot. So in order to write this on the number line, we must divide each of these up. Into thirds. So you should have a total of 9 pieces. Let's look at another one, dividing a fraction by a whole number. How much cake will each person get if 3 friends decide to share half of the cake equally? Find 1/2 divided by 3. Well, they show you a picture. Here is 1/2 of the cake in orange. If you were to divide the 1/2 into 3 equal parts, this is what you would do. Then it says how much would each person get? Well, each person would get 1/6 of the cake. Why of the cake? Well, because you only started with 1/2, but you had an entire cake. So let's try and make a diagram for 2/3 divided by 4. If we had 2/3 and we divided it into 4 equal sections, each person would get 1/6. And last, we are going to use relationships to divide whole numbers by fractions. You can use what you know about dividing fractions to find and use patterns. Look at the division and multiplication sentences at the right. Find and use a pattern to solve 4 divided by 2/3. The pattern shows that when you divide by a fraction, you get the same results as when you multiply by its reciprocal. So, looking over here at this chart, if you have 8 divided by 4/1 equals 2. Well, 8 times 1/4 equals 2. Notice, this first column is division, this second column is multiplication. 2 numbers whose product are 1 are called reciprocals. So, if I have 1/2 and 2/1, these are reciprocals. We took the fraction, we flipped it upside down. So whenever we divide, we are essentially going to multiply by the reciprocal. So what does this mean? Well, let's look at this problem right here. We are going to keep, change, flip. Okay? So if we're looking at this problem right here, we are going to keep the first fraction the same. We are going to change the sign to multiplication. We are going to flip over the second fraction, and then we are going to multiply just like we multiply any regular fraction. 8 times 4, 32. 3 times 1, 3. We are going to leave this an improper fraction. That completes our lesson for the day.